Hey guys, Looted Hose here on my Zerker. I wasn't sure what I was going to do today, but I did want to stream sorry, because I wanted to talk about this account. So here it is. I think I've shown it once, maybe before, back in RS3, but I've never shown it in OSRS because it used to have 40 attack, but one defense, and then eventually in 2018 I got bored of that and got defense on it. So basically I have to do like a bunch of questing. I know I still have to do Swan Song, but I'm doing pretty good on the quests. The free quests I've had done since 2018, so didn't have to worry about that. With the exception of like the newer ones. Those ones I just did. Yeah, whenever I'm bored I just slay. Um, I might do what Sebe or the other people do. I just might ramble and then do something in the background. Let's just get some teleports out, and then we'll do Mahogany Homes. Where is it? Yeah. So anyway, basically I'm making a Zerker, obviously. By the stats you can tell it's going to be 60 attack, 45 defense. I'm planning on getting 99 in range, mage, and HP, as well as strength. I've never had an account with 60 attack before in OSRS. I have in RS3, but I've never really used Dragon equipment. Looted ended up getting 80 attack for the Chaotic Maul because Obby Mauls were kind of like nerfed to hell because of EOC. So yeah, basically I still have to get 55 rune crafting for Fremnik Exiles. In fact, I think if I can bring the quest up, I think I just have to get like the rest of the stuff and then I'll be able to do it. So it might be the first quest that I do. The what fishing? Oh, I have 59. Now you need 60 smithing. I technically could probably do all of this in a day and then just do Fremnik Exiles in the week. But Dragon Slayer 2 and Monkey Madness 2 will have to wait. Song of the Elves I'm not going to be doing this year, maybe. I might end up doing it this year. But I want to do Dragon Slayer 2, Monkey Madness 2, and Fremnik Exiles. Just for the questing part. So, I've never had a an account like this before where I've had defense because it's been a long time since I've had defense on an account. It's been quite a few years because again I got defense on this account in 2018, but before that I really haven't. So I was used to prayer flicking on decks, my Max G Mauler. So it was like kind of a shock to me that if I had a greater demon task, I could just do it with some food instead of prayer pots. I mean, if I'm doing it in the wilderness, I'd rather do it with prayer pots because it's multi. But in the the chasm of fire, I don't really need prayer pots. I could prayer flick every now and then because they still do hit quite a bit, but that's about it. I think if I had a ring of suffering, it wouldn't be that bad. But they drop so many coins, so. But yeah, basically. Oh, I brought Lumbridge instead of Ardoin. Basically, this account is going to be a 60 attack Zerker. I plan to use it in the wilderness. I think this account and Dex struggle in the wilderness because they don't have 75 attack. So on one hand, they don't have God swords, but then they also don't have access to the Staff of the Dead. So it kind of like ruins. It kind of hurts their ability to PK against other PKers. But I think it's still a good enough account to be able to PK in some extent. Like Dex, for example, I was able to PK in a PvP world, and I really like that. So I'm looking forward to doing that more in the future. I just didn't do it all the time because I was focusing on money making and getting agility up. I might end up doing Song of the Elves on that account because it already has 70 farming. So, what else would I want to talk about? I think everything stat-wise is fine. I do need 70 magic, preferably 75 because I think there's a quest that needs it. Not Song of the Elves. Whoops, wrong building. Stat-wise, everything else looks fine. I do need to get like the stats for Song of the Elves eventually, right? But not now. So I'm prioritizing the other 3 big quests to get done. I know most people are, not most people, a lot of people don't watch the channel, so I mean, I can just ramble on anything. Like, for example, I haven't played Total War series I haven't played Total War for a while, and then I had Medieval 2 recently on my radar. I got it for free from Total War Access, and I'm planning on streaming that sometime. Like, I really struggle with Total War Medieval 2. Or sorry, Medieval 2, I should just say. I think it's because of how different the engine is from what I'm used to. But, like, just to give you guys an update on it, I'm getting pretty good at understanding the core concepts of it. Like mass matters quite a bit. But I have to admit, like, it's really janky. I know, like, a lot of people say Medieval 2 is a really good game and we need Medieval 3. I don't know. I mean, I'd be fine with a remaster, if I'm going to be honest. Because a remaster would at least fix the problems that the game has. Like, it's kind of like Rome Total War, where it had, like, a bit of jankiness as well. And that was fixed in the remaster to an extent. There were some flaws, though, I think, for the remaster of Rome Total War. So, you know, that could be a case it's in itself to make Medieval 3. But if you ask me, I'd be fine with a Medieval 3, but I would be more open to a Gunpowder Total War. Another Gunpowder historical Total War. Maybe along the lines of Empire. Because Empire could have been a better game, but it just had a lot of flaws that really stopped people from liking it. Anyway, back to old school. I have to get 70 construction, right? I've been doing it, most of it, through Mahogany Homes. And even though the XP is slower, it's not that bad. Like, I'd rather do Mahogany Homes because it's like 100k XP per hour, than, you know, spend a bunch of money and get like 700k XP an hour. Just because I don't have a lot of money to burn to begin with. So if I end up doing the construction the traditional way, where you have a butler and then get a bunch of planks, nails, and whatnot, what ends up happening is I would have to I'd have to go over to Dex, bring over more money, because I don't know if you saw my cash stack, but that obviously didn't come from this account. It would be much less. Basically, this account isn't self sufficient yet because it doesn't have the Slayer level to do bosses. And even if it did, I probably wouldn't do bosses. Let me see if I can get the Grotesque Guardians up. I'm just looking. Yeah, so basically, you still need 75 Slayer to do Gargoyles. And. Where's their stats? Give me a second. Because I know one you have to kill with range. Um, I think Dawn is the one you kill with range, and then Dusk is the one you kill with melee. I think with the stats that I have, I'd probably be able to do Grotesque Guardians in this account. Because, well, I mean, in the future, of course. I have to slay a bit to get to that point. But yeah, like, I look at Dawn and I see that she has 100 defense. And yeah, so I'd be able to use a blowpipe on Dawn. And then for Dusk, I could use my skimmy. Alright, it's fair enough. I can do Grotesque Guardians, but they do have less than like a million in profit per hour. So basically, I forgot my book again. Basically, I have to get my Slayer level to that point, which I'm planning to do mostly with Wilderness Slayer. And I guess now is a good time to talk about Wilderness Slayer anyway. So, for people who don't do Wilderness Slayer is basically a mix between Turiel and Konar on steroids. Because basically, you can get points, you can get keys, and you can make a lot of money through conventional tasks like Greater Demons. Greater Demons and bosses have the highest weighting, but then other stuff have like there's a bunch of other stuff that are in the 7 category, like Black Demons. Black Demons I blocked because they do take too long. And it's not like I'm at a point where I'm like a low level and I can just mage them and like I can expect nobody to bother me. Cuz I'm more of a go into the wilderness, do the task and get out as quickly as possible. And a lot of the times you need like a lot of money to do that. But I don't have all the money in the world, so I have to be careful with how I do it. Do Wilderness Slayer. Like I can use an Amulet of Avarice to note drops in the Slayer Cave and Rev Cave, but then of course I can't bring like Best in Slot. Or if I bring like a Vigorous Chain Mace, I can do a bunch of Greater Demons or like similar tasks. Like I'd use the Vigorous Chain Mace on Mammoths usually because it's relatively safe, but you will run into the odd PKer. Anyway, back if you use it, I can use it in the Wilderness Cave, but then I won't bring an Amulet of Avarice because you always risk losing the Avarice, and that's 400k. And worst case scenario, you lose the Chain Mace if you get smited, or you don't protect an item. I think the Chain Mace is at a good price compared to like the other usable wilderness weapon, which is crossbow. The Theramund Scepter is still kind of wonky. Like it doesn't auto cast ancient magics, which is a problem. Because if it did, I think I'd be willing to use it, and I'd still be willing to pay for it. It's just that I don't have the money to really waste on a weapon that I wouldn't really use, even though I bring over my money from Dex. But yeah, basically, I am more of a get in, get out person. I don't like to stay in the wilderness for longer than I have to, which is why I do not like dragon tasks except the green dragons because they are pretty like bad. If I'm gonna be honest, green dragons are fine because you can do them in the wilderness slayer cave, but when it comes to black dragons, lava dragons, those no, because lava dragons just tank too much. And magic for me is still best in slot, so it's kind of like if I were to do magic on black demons, it just takes too long, and so you're best off like skipping it. I could go off on Wilderness Slayer more, but obviously people who know Wilderness Slayer know that there's guides on YouTube already on how to like really do it well. So, and I mean, there's also the wiki guides. I think that Wilderness Slayer is definitely worth it if you're willing to take the risk. If not, you don't have to, obviously, because there's Konar. Konar gives you good money. And as people who've seen my Gmaulers know, I main Konar on I main Konar on that account from 70 to 99 Slayer. So I was thinking on this account I could probably do like main Crystalia and perhaps get like most of my points from her and like most of my loot from her as well. Because I think it's worth it like long term to do Wilderness Slayer. Like I now have more tasks done on this account than I do on Dex. Just because I decided to do Wilderness Slayer overnight because I have a night job. But I think also it's worth noting that there are tasks that can be done really quickly, like spiders, scorpions, skeletons, and whatnot. And so those come in handy when you're trying to get points in general. If you're not and you have points to waste, you can just skip them, right? You can block like the bigger tasks like black demons, fire giants, and stuff like that. But and I can even bosses because like you can do bosses and then just do three or like the minimum of them, and then you're good to go. You can't say the same for like Konar because like only like two or three of her many tasks are skippable or not skippable. They can be done really fast. Then there's Dagonauts, of course, that can be done pretty quickly. But then if you get them in Koran, then obviously you have a problem because you can't use your cannon there. So I think Crystalia is like a really good a really good Slayer master. It's just that you have to be in the wilderness. So, you know, there's always the chance that you'll run into somebody who wants to clap your cheeks, I guess. But at the same time, I mean, for me, I want to fight back, but I never have the gear or the stats to do it, so I don't even bother. I think when I'm maxed out, I'm willing to like fight people back, but right now, I'm not going to. To be honest, like if I can be honest, I don't really need to do Crystalia that much right now because I have enough points. I have enough points saved to do Bloodveld tasks. Because Bloodveld tasks are technically the best for me because I can do them in the Ditch Laboratory and can get like a lot of good melee experience. However, if I do them through Konar, it really depends where she puts me. Also, so anyway, when I'm trying to say is, blood veils are like best task for me. I think they are in the top weighing for both Neve and Konar. I don't think they are for Chaldar, which is why I don't use her anymore. Like I used to use Chaldar like somewhere between like 55 to 70. It wasn't even 70. Yeah, maybe it was straight up to 70 Slayer. Because I think I had 69 on Dex, and then on my 100th task, I did Konar, and then I stuck with her ever since. But yeah, I used Chowder for quite a bit. I suffered with Vanica, but ended up getting decent tasks. Oh, I didn't put that back. Yeah, but anyway, Blood Velds are best task for me right now. Of course, if it's in the wilderness, that's a different story because you can't use your cannon in there without aggroing everybody. But outside of the wilderness, yeah, it's best. And best in wilderness is definitely greater demons overall. But if I had a choice, I would definitely go for lesser demons because they're quicker. You just get relatively less loot. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, so Laren's keys are better than Konar's Brimstone keys, which you'd have to expect. Like, Brimstone keys used to be 100k, and then they went down to 90k. Now they're back up to 100k, which is good. But they and the Laren's keys go off of your fishing level for fishing drops, which is why I've never opened them on decks. And I'm also trying to hoard them just to like do something special with them. So yeah, once I do that, I think I'm good. Once I once I start hoarding them, I think I'll do something special with them as well. Like there's people on YouTube who've already done like 1,000 Laren's keys and whatnot. Why don't we try for like 2,000 or 5,000 or something? Like obviously, by the time I get like even close to 1,000 Laren's keys, I'll probably be 99 Slayer anyway. So, but yeah, Wilderness Slayer really helped me. Like it put me from 27 to 54 ish, and then from there from 54 to 66, like roughly. I ended up doing Wilderness Slayer again. But then, of course, like I did get some help from like conventional Slayer as well because I got one Blood Veil task so far, and then I just recently finished a Worms task and got 67 Slayer. But yeah, most of my Slayer experiences come from Wilderness Slayer, and it's really good because like you get points, you get experience, and you get GP, and it just depends on what you're trying to go for. It's always good to get points early on because later on you can just skip tasks that you don't like or don't need. But if you're going for XP and or GP, then you could just skip until you get that, you know? So yeah, that's my ramble about Wilderness Slayer. I think people are afraid of the wilderness because of PKers. For me, I was just afraid of PKing in general, and so when it came down to being PK'd, I just saw it as, I wasn't quick enough to leave. But most of the time, I do get away from people. I think people try, and that's good. I think trying is important. I'm gonna do LMS later on. Probably not today. Or maybe I will. Because Mahogany Homes can get a bit boring. I did my farm runs early this morning. I'm at 62 farming. I need 70 for Song of the Elves. I'm missing something. But yeah, long term, I'm going to be doing Wilderness Slayer. And hopefully, Whoops. Hopefully it brings me to 75 ish. Because, I mean, technically after 70 Slayer, like, the best. Well, not the best. If you take into account the risk involved, I think, like, Kurasks are decent. Like, decently better than Greater Demons in the Wilderness Slayer Cave. And I think overall, like, it loses its luster once you get into boss PKing because the best bosses aren't in the wilderness. But of course, they're going to revamp the wilderness. Jagex is going to revamp the wilderness sometime. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that one day there's going to be a time where Wilderness Slayer bosses are like the best monsters to kill for GP or even XP. Who knows? I don't know what they're gonna do, but right now they definitely aren't. And Revenants are good if you don't have a lot of skills but have a good amount of combat stats. Because let's say you're a max main with like no skills. Like what ends up happening is you can do Revenants and Wilderness Slayer. Like if you haven't done Dragon Slayer, you'll never get dragons. And if you haven't done Death Plateau, you can't get anything in the God Wars dungeon. So no spiritual creatures or what's the other one? I can't remember all of a sudden. The other one, Bloodvelds? Yeah, it must have been Bloodvelds. If you haven't started Desert Treasure, you can't get Dust Devils. And if you haven't done Priest and Peril, you can't get Necrials or Abyssal Demons. So the only Slayer monster you can get would be Jellies, who are at 52 Slayer. And Jellies in the Wilderness, may I add, are pretty broken because their drop table isn't the same as regular Jellies, and it's still better than Warped Jellies, which I find super nutty. I had 2 jelly tasks in the Wilderness, and unfortunately I don't have 70 magic, so I can't use Ice Burst, right? But it's kind of nuts because they have coin drops, but I don't know the probability, but I was getting like 1k every like 2 or 3 kills. And so I'm like, yeah, I was going on the wiki to see if they knew the drop rate, but they don't, and it hasn't been updated yet because a lot of people don't do Wilderness Slayer. And again, like there's the risk and reward factor to it as well. Like I'm a snack to people because I can't PK back, or I can't fight back. But then of course, Wilderness Slayer is alluring to me because I need Slayer quickly. I don't want to like waste my time trying to wait for a Bloodveld task. I'd be perfectly fine using a superior weapon, which is the Vigorous Chainmace, and just doing stuff that way, like doing stuff quicker. Because if you're using a Vigorous Chainmace or like other Wilderness weapon, yeah, Wilderness is best in slot for Slayer, because you can kill things a lot quicker. Except if you're going for demons, because even though greater demons are the highest weighed stuff, highest weighed task. Once you get to demons, if you use Arclight is better than the Vigorous Chainmace, and then so you can't say, well, Vigorous Chainmace is still best in slot in general. If you're just trying to go for greater demons. But in any case, I feel that Wilderness Slayer is in general better, especially if you're like me and you don't have 70 attack, because you need 70 attack to be able to wield Arclight. And then of course there's a crossbow. The crossbow does more DPS than the blowpipe. And so no matter what, like range wise, you'll do better. I think the only exception is full crystal and a bow of Ferdinand, because I think that might match it. But of course, that's super expensive compared to the crossbow. So there's obviously that. So anyway, I might stop doing mahogany homes after I level, because I can get 70 pretty easily. Oh, whoops, why did I click that? I need to click Jess. Um, anyway, more rambling about Wilderness Slayer. Good tasks overall, either quick or good experience or good GP. Sometimes it's both. Is there a task that's good for points and or sorry, good for points, XP and GP? Probably bosses, if I'm gonna be honest. But other than that, no. No, none of them combine all three, from my understanding. Because even spiritual creatures, once you get to like spiritual mages, they are good GP, but they're not quick. So you can't say they're good XP. When you get to like the cannibal tasks, like lesser demons, I think that's the closest. Lesser demons are probably the closest to being good in all three, because you can, with a cannon and vigorous chainmace, you could probably do the task in like any task in 20 minutes. The only exception is if you're using the expeditious bracelet. I never used those in wilderness. I just recently extended my greater demon tasks because I got a task from Neve to do them, and I did them in the Chasm of Fire. I think I mentioned that earlier. And after that, I just said, you know what? I'm probably going to be getting it more in the future. Like, the Chasm's still the best place to kill them. Technically, if I'm ranging them, I could probably kill them faster than with melee. But I think I did the math, and it's just about the same. So, to be honest, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have a Ring of Suffering, and I have no... I don't feel like imbuing it right now. I probably will do it one time... Oh, sorry, I probably will do it when I go to work and I'm like just bored. Because I have to AFK a bit. But besides that, I'm not going to bother. I did too much Nightmare Zone on Dex to get 99 range. Can't be bothered doing that again. Which is why I'm going to try to get 99 magic range and magic with Slayer. Because it'll be pretty profitable in the end for me. I want to go over the wilderness task list, but there really is no need because, like, Sebe already has 2 guides on Wilderness Slayer, and I think they're really good. You know, if you ever want to do Wilderness Slayer, I'd recommend watching those first, because they give you a good idea of what to expect in the wilderness. No need. I haven't used the crossbow yet, but I bring over my crossbow from Dex's account to this one because Dex doesn't do like a lot of Wilderness Slayer anymore. Still does, but not as much. Like I did one task while I was using this account. Oh boy, I might make this a short stream because I'm probably gonna finish Mahogany Homes, and I'll have to figure out what I want to do next. I'm not gonna do a herb run because herb runs are pretty boring. I don't know. Like I was watching Seibei's podcast with Bodhi, and he said that you have to enjoy it, and made me realize that I haven't really been enjoying this game for quite a while. The only time I'm really enjoying it is when I'm PKing, and I was doing that on my other account. But then of course there was AHKers, so you have to be wary of that, I guess. I don't know. A lot of things have ruined PKing for me, but I still like it, so I'm still willing to try my hand at wilderness PKing. I just want to get better at wilderness, LMS, and then after that, I want to get better at wilderness Slayer. Because I guess at its core, wilderness Slayer is just Slayer with more risk and more reward, and I think to that end, it does that really well. But of course, you have to take into account that once you get at higher levels, Wilderness Slayer overall is a net negative. Because, like, let's just say you want to do XP. All you have to do is have enough points beforehand, and then you could just skip a bunch of tasks. Because even if you don't skip a bunch of tasks and you do Wilderness Slayer, what ends up happening is you get stuck in this loophole of being willing to go into the wilderness to get a better task than what you can get conventionally anywhere else, and then you do that, and then you get PK'd, and then you lose money. So of course, like I think the risk and reward balances itself out, and so Wilderness Slayer isn't for everybody. But to the people who it is for, I think they have like a net a net benefit and willingness to take risks in order to get like better loot in general. I've never had a revenant task, and so I've never had to really go into the the wilderness cave, the revenant cave rather. But I usually would go in there with decks. Now I don't because I realize that watching Twitch PKers go in there with their peers that I really can't do PKing on the same level because even though my range and magic are maxed out, my attack limits me to a Gmaul, so I'm predictable to an extent. But I do think that decks could PK in the wilderness if you wanted to. I just have to get better at switches. I'm pretty good at switching from range to melee because I'm used to doing that in free to play. But when it comes to like three-way switching, I'm starting to see struggles because my mouse can't move quick enough. So it's not like me. Like you see how my mouse is moving. Like I can click like three things in one tick, but rarely. And so what ends up happening is I tend to misclick or drag, and I don't use RuneLight. Like this is the OSR's client because I can't be bothered. But I think, I think in general, like if I wanted to, I probably could. Maybe I'll just end the stream doing LMS. Where's my Ring of Dueling? I have to use the washroom too. That's LMS casual. been a while since I've even been on an LMS world. Oh, that's us. That's Aussie ping. There has to be one for America. LMS casual. Where is it? That's the American one. Nobody is usually on there. Free to play, of course. I probably missed it. That's the British one. Oh, here it is. And nobody's here. Alright, let's see if there's people in World 302. Because if not, I might just have to go to the British one. No. Okay, where's the British one? I could even go to free to play, but uh, it really depends. I don't mind. That's Aussie, but whatever. I don't have time to complain. Let's just see if anybody's here. No. Okay. Well, we'll go free to play then. Uh, nobody's. Yeah, nobody's here. Oh shoot. Okay. You know what? I'll just end the stream here. Because it seems like I won't be able to get anybody. So I'll just end it here. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hopefully I make a longer stream next time. What I might end up doing is streaming Medieval 2, and we'll see where that goes. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you whenever I stream next. Bye guys.